Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming today to the last module of the class, which is the IELTS speaking module. You get to do your speaking test on a different day or sometimes on the same day, but at a different time. So you could have your speaking test in the morning before the rest of the modules, or you have it later in the day after you've done the rest of the modules in the morning. So this helps you to prepare yourself better if it's coming after, or even if it is before the rest of the modules, you are there refreshed, you know, ready for the test. And believe me, it's a very easy test. The speaking test, you just need to be relaxed. Sometimes the reason why people don't perform well in their speaking test is because they see it as an exam, bring in big vocabularies, sound very tush. Um, all through the times I wrote my IELTS speaking modules back in Nigeria, the highest I ever had was an 8. But when I got to England and I did the same test, a native speaker gave me an 8.5. So that's to let you know that they are even impressed when you speak their language and you speak it very well. Like you are natural, you don't struggle with your tenses, you're getting your singular and your plural right. You're getting your subject verb agreements correctly, you know. So it's not about sounding so sophisticated or using very, very big vocabulary. No. A test of your speaking ability is is to see how you form your sentences, how confident you are using your words, how you're able to express yourself. So it's not a test of you answered correctly or not, or if you know the answer to this question or not. Even if you don't know the answer to a question and you answer in another form that shows that you have a good command of the language, it's fine. So it's not a test of it's not like other modules like reading, listening, and writing where there's a particular expectation, and once you don't meet up with that expectation, you feel no. Speaking is more flexible. It's more like subjective. Your examiner just looks at you and sees that yes, you speak well, you're natural with your use of words, and engage them, chat, have fun, relax. When your examiner says something funny, laugh about it. You can also make your examiner laugh. When he says something and you be like, oh, I remember when I was young, I used to do this thing a lot, but over time I grew out of it because I just realized it wasn't as funny as it used to be. And then you just laugh about it and then your examiner laughs. So that's the idea. Anything, just relax, be yourself. And you'll be amazed. The exams I've gone for, the speaking exams I've gone for, and I did really well, were the ones that it was more like a chit chat, like we're gisting. So that's the kind of mood you want to get yourself in. If you want to watch your favorite movie, or you want to play some games, or you want to be in a mood that keeps you, in that situation or in that mood that helps you to just flow. Just go for it. Just relax. Just look at it like you're going to see a friend or your best friend or your family, whoever you're close to in your family, your closest family friend or your closest family member. You're going to have that chat with them. So speaking is the simplest and the easiest to have the highest score, and I mean this, as long as you have that determination to go there and be yourself and be as relaxed as possible. So, your speaking test, what you should know, your first section is your introduction. It's more like an interview, but a very short version where you're asked, so tell us about you. Do you work or study? And be as free as possible. You should have studied some things about yourself, like, of course, you know some things about yourself already. Before the exam, you should have been able to rehearse these things, say to yourself, sound confident. Oh, I'm a graduate, or I just finished my master's degree at Sheffield Hallam University, where I studied international business and management. My course lasted for about 2 years, and you just go on and on. Although this section you don't need to say so much because it is like an introduction. Where you will need to extend your answers would be your task card and the discussion part. But then your introduction should also be very good, succinct, and very clean. Like, know what you're saying. My name is Abimbola Joseph. I'm from Nigeria. I came to the UK to study 2 years ago, and I just completed my studies. If you're asked, where do you live? I live so, 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 and so, go straight to the point. So it's usually one or two sentences that you're expected to say here. If you say so much, the examiner would ask you the next question, and then you know when to continue with the next question. But for your task two and task three, I mean the section two and section three, do not stop talking. Like continue to talk because it's no longer an introduction now. It's now a discussion. They want to see how much you can engage. Even if you've used up your time and the examiner has not asked the second question, enjoy yourself. Keep talking. When they think they've had enough, they will say, okay. Or they will give you a sign and then maybe nod and then they will ask the next question. The reason is you want to show that you know how to speak the language very well. Don't pause. Don't answer. Don't say two lines and then wait. It's no more introduction. Like if you need to introduce yourself now, there's just so much you can say. Like you can't begin to say 10 of your names. You can't begin to say every location you've lived in or all the countries you've visited, right? So for the introduction part, the first part, there's just a like a limited amount of words you can say. But once you get to the section two and three, even if you don't have an idea of what you're being asked, say something very related to it. The idea is just saying something. It's not about how correct or how perfect your answer sounds. It's just about you expressing yourself. So that's task one. Then task two, you'll be given 1 minute to prepare your question. I mean, to prepare the answer to your question. And then you'll be given some minutes, about 4 minutes, to say your answers. And then your examiner will ask you some follow-up questions based on the answers you've given him. The discussion is where you also express yourself more. Just talk. You can talk, just ensure you've answered the question first before you extend it. Like, for example, if they say, what countries have you visited? What other country would you love to visit in the future? Once you've talked about what countries you've visited, don't forget the other part of the question. And then, some people get carried away. They just stick to the countries they visited and they keep on talking about the countries they visited and they continue on and on and on. And they forget the other part that says, which other one would you like to visit in the future? So if what you need to do is to repeat what the examiner has said so that it will stick. So if the examiner says, what countries have you visited and what other country would you like to visit? Okay. So there are a couple of countries that I visited and there are some other ones I would really love to visit. Repeating that line means that you are telling yourself you must not forget this question. You must not forget what you've been asked to say or to talk about. Or when they tell you what has been your worst experience so far since you've been born, or and what would you do differently about it if given a chance to go back in time? You could say, okay, a number of experiences have brought bad memories to me, but um there's one that stands out. However, if I'm given another chance, this is one thing I would do about it is to ensure that I speak up about how I feel and get help, the necessary help that I deserve. Now, that does not mean you finished answering the question. You've just stated a topic sentence, just more like an introduction that helps you to get started, and then you say, okay, so more specifically, what I mean is the particular experience I had that was really bad or that gave me a bad memory was an experience I had in my primary school where, and then go on and on and on. But because you've mentioned already about what you would do differently, you are likely not to forget to answer that aspect because you've repeated it, so it has gotten stuck in you, like in your head that, okay, I'm not just answering the first part. What I would do differently if given another chance is what I have to also answer before my time runs out. Because if you don't answer the second part before your time runs out, you will not score your total, you will not have the total score for task achievement because you've done A, you did not do B. So before you start extending and extending your answer, ensure that you've met the requirements of the questions. You've done A, you've done B. If there's A, B, C, you've done that, and then you can enjoy yourself and just be gisting because you've done what you've been asked to do already, and the rest is just extension of your answers. So these are some of the introductory questions you'll be asked. Can you tell me your full name? Of course, that's just one sentence or two sentences. My name is Abimbola Joseph. My middle name is Victoria, but you can call me Vicky if you want, or if you find that easy. That's it. Where are you from? I'm from Ondo State, Nigeria. It's in the southwestern part of Nigeria, and I've been there a couple of times, and I enjoy visiting there once in a while. That's it. Do you work or are you a student? I currently work, although I used to study. I studied for about 2 years, but now I'm done with my studies and I work in the NHS. I've been working there for about 1 year now, and I enjoy working with my colleagues. I enjoy the work I do. It brings me joy, it brings me satisfaction that I'm contributing into the lives of the patients, and I am assisting the consultants in ways they wouldn't have done themselves. That's it. How do you usually spend your weekends? Interesting. My weekends, I spend my weekends with my family. Sometimes I go to church for choir rehearsals because I sing at the church. I sing also specifically. Sometimes I get some groceries at big supermarket like Tesco, Aldi, Asda. I sometimes also visit friends, and I use the weekend to catch up on whatever I could not do during the week because of work or other commitments. That's it. Do you prefer to spend time alone or with others? That's a dicey one. I think it depends. When I really want to engage or have fun, or I want to enjoy my time, I like to spend time with others. But in moments where I need to set some goals and achieve them quickly, I prefer spending that time alone because I need as much focus as possible. That is, so you can see that it's not about them testing you that, "Oh, what's she going to say? Is she going to say the right answer?" No, you can talk about both time alone or with others. You can say both time alone or with others. You can stick to one. So it's about how well you express yourself, you use your words, and it doesn't mean you cannot have some slip ups. You can see that as I was expressing myself, I said something and I'm like, oh. But don't let it stop you. Just continue. If I was in an exam, I would not even pause the way I paused. I will say the slip up like that normally and just continue to talk. And sometimes they won't even notice. That's it. They won't even they won't notice what you've just said or the slip up or the pause. But just ensure that it doesn't happen repeatedly. You come out, speak well, be confident, just pick yourself up immediately. You see that you're already trying to um confuse yourself or your words are not flowing out naturally anymore. Just in as soon as you see that you're having some issues, just breathe in, breathe out, and continue again. They know that anyone can have that moment. They sometimes have that moment as well. And one thing I just remember, if you're asked a question and you don't understand, feel free to ask again and again. You are not expected to know everything or to catch the answer immediately it's being asked. Oh, sorry, could you repeat that, please? Can you paraphrase that in other words? Sorry, can you please explain what you mean? They would try to make you understand the question. It's totally fine to ask that question again. Once you've gotten what they are trying to ask you and it's clear to you, then that's when they start assessing you. When you want to write your exam, ensure you've practiced you have someone you've spoken to or you can speak to before your exam. You can also speak to yourself, stand in front of the mirror, speak to yourself. If it's your husband or your wife, your grown children, any friend you can call, um, ask them to ask you questions and assess how you've spoken. Is it good enough? Is there something you can add to it? Is there something you did not use well? Maybe a vocabulary you're not using correctly, that you can spot even while speaking yourself. So these are what um constant practice would help you to spot. But don't just say because, oh, I've been speaking English all my life. I don't need to practice. I don't do, no, no, no. You need to practice. You need to speak. You need to practice the practice questions. You will see that in the subsequent slides. What kind of music do you enjoy? Oh, I enjoy slow, cool music, any music that soothes the soul. Um, Most especially worship. I enjoy worship songs. And these are the kind of songs that keep me in good mood, that helps me to, even draw closer to my creator, and that help me to, appreciate the things of life. That's it. So, um, you just need to be as natural as possible. Flow, say what you would normally say if you were talking to a friend. It's not an assessment of how much vocabularies you have. Of course, it's good to have a number of vocabularies in your head, but can you use them naturally? Because when you are now bringing big, big words and you don't know how to use them naturally, or is looking very like there's a bit of friction in how you are using it, or you are using it the wrong way, it will put you at a disadvantage because it will show. They would know when you're trying to be what you're not. But when you are using simple words, you're flowing, you're chatting, you're smiling, you're relaxed, I bet you would see things like band 8.5 in your speaking because that is who you are. You're not forming, you're not cramming, you're not trying to impress excessively. You're just being yourself. Now, this is an example of the tax card. It's also sometimes called Q card. So you'll be given a small sheet and you'll be told to look at the questions. You'll be asked to look at the questions and to rehearse your answers, to prepare your answers in your mind. Can you open the door? Yes. Oh, open this, is it that? Um, Sorry about that. So you'll be asked to prepare your answers in your mind. If you want to write, you can write if you want. Sometimes I write. In fact, I think I usually write all the time because I don't want to lose track of my answers. What the book is, I'll write the title of the book. When you read it, maybe I'll just write something like 3 years ago. What it is about, what the book is about life, explain why it had an impact on you. Okay, this is the impact it had on me. I'll just write maybe 2 or 3 points there. Then, after you've answered all those questions, the examiner will now ask other questions related to your answers, related to what you've said. Sometimes not so related to what you've said, but of course it will be related to book reading, as the cue card has said. So prepare your mind for these questions. You will see all these questions online. You will even see them on YouTube if you go on YouTube and you type sample questions for IELTS speaking, or you go to IELTS Liz, Liz, IELTSLiz.com. She also usually compiles some speaking questions. So this is the third section, which is usually more engaging. So you're expected to just be talking. So if you're not a natural talker, talk in the IELTS exam. For the sake of the IELTS exam, just talk. Be a parrot. Like, just continue to talk until the person tells you the next question, or they say, okay. And then they ask you. So when they give you that sign or they throw another question, that's when you should stop because you want to give that impression that yes, this language, no be today, I've been speaking it for a long time, and you want to say it as naturally as possible. You'll be asked to express and justify opinions, examples, give examples, discuss issues. your opinion, what you think. That's where you be asked questions like, what do you think is more important, health or wealth? Then you open your mouth and start and then because you are free, there's no you're not being fit into a box like this is what you have to say. So it's not a passage and that they will tell you, okay, you have to answer according to this passage. No. You answer based on your opinion, based on what you know as a person or what you feel you've experienced from time. And they just mark you based on how well you express yourself. Do you think reading habits have changed in recent years? Your answer. What kind of books are popular in your country? Your answer. Do you think young people read more books, more now or less? Why? So after stating your opinion, if you think people do more, like read more, or they read less, you also state why. Don't forget the part B of the question. Your examiner can give you two in one. So once you say one, don't forget the why. Sometimes it can be why do you think this is so, or has anything influenced this trend? So you should keep that B in mind. How important is it for children to read books? Should government do more to promote reading? So you have to think on the spot too, because you don't know the answers. I mean, the questions they will ask you on that day. So you have to be very, very fast about thinking. Like you cannot say please give me 2 minutes to think. You cannot say please 1 minute. What you can do is to start with something. If you don't have answers to the question directly, you can say, well, that's an interesting question. Um, I think that, or personally, well, things like that just helps you to think. But pausing is not ideal. Just waiting and looking up or no. Just start. You can say first of all, um, I think that even if you're using filler words like don't make it too frequent, just once in a while. It's normal. Yeah, we are all human beings. We all use it once in a while, but don't let it come out often from your mouth. Just sometimes when things take you like unexpectedly, like some questions you've never thought about. Well, I think for this particular question, I would say that you can see that I've used like 5 words and I've not even started answering the question. So that's the way to think, just to buy yourself some time before you now start saying what comes to your mind. So requirements, fluency and coherence. You should speak smoothly without long pauses, just like I've said, or repetition. Organize your ideas logically. Use like keywords like however, because, for example. So when you said something about your opinions, share an example. Um, you can also say the past, what you think about that thing in the past, what you think about that thing currently, and what you think about that thing in the future. What do I mean? Your line of thought as a child concerning that thing. What did you think about that thing when you were a child? What do you currently think about that thing? Like that question that says, should government do more? You can say when you were young, you used to think that everybody should naturally know how to read. But over time, you discover that it takes a lot of effort and determination to build a reading habit. And sometimes our parents can help that by reinforcing the habit and encouraging us, motivating us to read books. I feel that the government should introduce more reading curriculum into the system, into the educational sector. That's the future. So to extend your answer, you can start from your past, link it to your present, and then see what you think should be done in the future to reinforce the habit more. Because if you just talk about what you think now, you might not have enough time to play around sentences. When I mean sentences, past, you'll be using past sentences. When you're talking about the present, you're using present continuous tenses. When you're talking about the future, you'll be using tenses that shows that these are the things that should be done in the future. Lexical resources, vocabulary, things like however, firstly, technically, apparently, what resonates with me the most. Um, Sometimes your children even use these words because sometimes when my boy does, and I'm like, which one did you bring again today? So learn from native speakers. I'm sure you have some British colleagues. Listen to how they use their words and how they extend their answers because I believe they are natural talkers. It's their language. They talk naturally and they extend their answers compared to us that we usually bilingual, like we have our mother tongue, and sometimes it limits how much extension we can give our answers. Grammatical range and accuracy. Use a mix of sentence structures, simple, compound, complex sentences like while, although, although when you use although, you don't use but. Although, blah, 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 comma, blah, blah, blah. It's speaking well, you don't need to use comma. I'm just saying that. Or some connecting words, learn how they are being used. So these things should also reflect when you're talking, when you're using these complex sentences, when you're joining sentences together with but, however, or you know, use those words properly. Use those words to connect your sentences well. Speak with good grammar. Avoid frequent errors. Avoid, that's why I said don't use what you would not use normally or naturally. Speak naturally, just like I've been speaking. It's not like I'm speaking like a PhD holder or a linguist or someone who has lived in the UK for 40 years. I'm speaking like an average Nigerian. That's what they expect you to also do because you're not a native speaker. They know it's a second language for you, but as long as they're able to communicate, they understand what you're saying, they're able to pass your message, that's absolutely fine. Your pronunciation. So there was a time I compiled 198 words we mispronounce as Nigerians on my blog. You'll see it in one of the slides. 198. So please go through those 198 words. If there's any word there that you think you're still mispronouncing, learn the right because I wrote the common way. Because even me, I've seen myself mispronounce some words before. And when I started writing the IELTS exam, I noticed, oh, so this is not how it's being said. This is the right way it should be pronounced. That's when I had to unlearn and relearn. So you will see these things, some of those words. And lucky you might have known all these things if you have a very good foundation or your primary school is one very solid, maybe with British curriculum also. Of course, you can be very aware of those words, but it's not bad to just check again to be sure that you're pronouncing words the right way. So your scoring sheets, you'll be scored based on fluency and coherence, your vocabulary, your grammar, your pronunciation, and then you'll have your average score. So when you have your average score, they will round it up. So if your average score is 6.75, you end up having a 7.0. And if you have a 6.25, they will round it up to a 6.5. But I'm telling you that you can have an 8. You can even have an 8.5. Many Nigerians in the UK speak very well. I've heard a lot of us, we speak well. So don't be afraid. Go there, be confident, be yourself, speak naturally. They don't expect you to speak exactly like a native speaker. You are an immigrant. You have English as your second language. As long as they hear you, they'll know what you're saying. They know what information you're passing to them. That's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Just flow. Be yourself and you'll be fine. So this is mispronounced words in Nigeria that I compiled. Type on Google commonly mispronounced words in Nigeria and then scroll down to explicit. I think my blog should be number 3 on the list of the first page, the first Google result. Number 3 or 4, you will see explicit success um results there. So that's what you should click and just go through it. You can also go through other articles by other blogs just to, have an idea of words that we commonly mispronounce. So thank you for coming. It's my WhatsApp number and my Gmail in case you want to, my email address in case you want to send me any question or any inquiry. I'll be happy to receive them. And if you have any question and answer now, please go ahead. Wow, I'm glad we have come to the end of the IELTS class.